Hello everyone and welcome back to Card Karma. I know it's been quite a while since I've released a video or anything, and there's numerous reasons for that, but I'm not really going to try to get into all that. Even still, the PTCGO client is still buggy, which is one of the biggest deterrents to make these videos. As you can see, Trubbish here isn't even loaded. Anyway, what I'm really here to talk about is the new Legacy format, which they just recently added to PTCGO. It's basically Heart Gold, Soul Silver cards all the way up to Black and White cards. So it has none of the XY series sets or anything like that. So you don't get access to a lot of the tools that we're kind of familiar with, such as Versus Seeker, Lysander, that sort of thing. And as a result, it's a really fun format actually. There's not as many OCO type of format or meta decks, whatever. There's not as much item lock. There's not as much of that sort of thing. You actually have to, not necessarily. It's not like you have to have the most creative deck, but you have a lot more options with what you're able to do because you don't get, you're not constantly getting knocked out or getting your deck shut off by Quaking Punch or whatever. And so the first deck that I want to showcase for my Legacy video series is one I've been referring to as EtherDex, which relies on, as the name implies, the card Ether and the card Pokédex in order to excel energy and just create some blowout type of attacks. So another bug with the client, I can't get around this, but I cannot right click and zoom in on the cards here, so we're going to go ahead and go in the regular view. So we'll go ahead and go over the Pokemon line first. So it kind of revolves around Terrakion EX and Landorus EX. So Terrakion EX, it's a Dragon Exalted EX, and he hasn't really seen that much play in Standard or Expanded because there's just, not Standard, but Expanded, where Landorus gets strong energy and Muscle Band, fighting, all that. He just does, his damage output is outrageous. But in this format, when it's a little bit slower, Terrakion EX is actually quite potent. He has 180 HP, which is solid. His first attack, Rock Tumble. For 2, it does 50, isn't affected by resistance. The resistance thing is nice. It doesn't come into play that often, but 50 damage is just okay. But then his second attack, Pump Up Smash. For 2 fighting and a colorless, it does 90, and you can attach up to 2 basic from your hand to your bench Pokemon any way you like. So you can move them all around. And that might not seem like, how often do I have 2 energies in my hand, but it actually happens quite a bit. And the main thing I like about this is that 90 HP times 2, if you're hitting for weakness, 180 is going to clean knock out Darkrai. Obviously in anything else that's weak to fighting. But yeah, knocking out Darkrai I really like about Terrakion EX. So, that's Terrakion. And then we also have Landorus, which most people already know. His Hammerhead, for 1, does 30 and 30 to the bench, which is, in this format, without any Muscle Band, etc., and that makes his damage output outrageous. But in Legacy, he doesn't really have that. So, he does 30 and 30 to the bench, which is still great for 1 energy. And then his Land Judgment, 2 fighting and a colorless, same as Terrakion's, 80. If you discard all the fighting, he does 70 more. So what's that? That's 150, which is pretty solid, and you don't have to discard all the fighting energy too, which is cool. You can just do the 80. So on certain things, you don't have to throw all your energies. You can just knock them out with the 80 damage. So yeah, we rely on those 2, and so you can see we have more Terrakions than Landoruses, and I don't know, that might be the wrong call. Maybe you do 3 Lando, 2 Terrakion. I've been liking Terrakion a lot more, and so that's why I play 3. As for the rest of the deck, we have Mewtwo, and the main reason Mewtwo is good here is our main goal is to accelerate energy, and Mewtwo does a really good job of doing a lot of damage once he gets a lot of energies attached to him. The obvious risks you run with Mewtwo is that you can face other Mewtwo's, and it's kind of funny how that works. Like, Mewtwo just beats other Mewtwo's, so that can work in your favor or to your detriment. It just depends who gets to attack first, or it just depends on the situation. But nonetheless, I think Mewtwo's a solid attacker for the deck, and we only run 1, so it's not like we're relying on it or anything like that. But it's a solid card, and it also allows us to hit for another different typing other than fighting, which is cool. We run one of this the baby Terrakion, 130 HP, which is very nice. His retaliate attack only costs 2, and if he comes in as a revenge attacker after something's been knocked out, he does an extra 60 damage. So that's 90, and again, 90 times 2 on a Darkrai is going to be a knockout. 90 also knocks out Weavile, even if it didn't have weakness. Yeah, 90 damage is okay, especially for 2. I mean, obviously you're not always going to be able to use it for 90, but his second attack does 90 straight for just 3. And again, 90 times, I like that good math of doing 180 on things weak to fighting, which obviously there's not a ton weak to fighting. Darkrai isn't even that common in this format, but nonetheless, I like that it adds up nicely. So yeah, that's Terrakion, and I also run one copy of the Boof, the Bouffalant with the Boofer ability. Any damage into this Pokemon is reduced by 20, which is very nice. And that even applies on the bench too. So if he gets hit with, say, a Landorus or whatever, that damage gets prevented. His Gold Breaker attack for 3. If the defending Pokemon is EX, it does a 60 more damage, and 120 damage on a non-EX attacker is very respectable. And yeah, Bouffalant is a solid choice, and I think definitely worth his spot in the deck. So yeah, and then we also run for whatever reason, Trubbish won't load. I'm just using the Tool Drop Trubbish. You could probably use any Trubbish you wanted. I like the 70 HP on Tool Drop. But yeah, so 3-2 Garbodor line. And Garbodor is nice because it turns off Red Signal from Genesect. It turns off the Emerald Slash, or what's it? Verdant Wind, whatever. I don't remember what Brizian's ability is called. It turns off a lot of key effects and abilities that people actually use a lot. And Lando Garbo is kind of just already kind of good on its own. Also, it shuts off Propagate Eggs, which is huge. Weavile is really popular in this format. It turns off a lot of things. I'm forgetting tons. There's Dynamotor, Electric, lots of different cards that rely on their abilities for the decks to run. So yeah, Garbodor has definitely proven its worth in this deck. And yeah, that's the Pokemon line. Now we'll go over the trainers. So like I said, the name of the deck, EtherDex. The deck relies on this combination of cards with Ether, which says reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a basic energy, you can attach it to your Pokemon. If it's not, you put it back on top of your deck. And then Pokédex says look at the top 5 cards of your deck and put them back in any order. So obviously you can use Pokédex to manipulate the order of your top decks, and then use Ether to attach. Obviously you want to put those energies on the top if you hit them, and then Ether into them. And I mean, it may seem like a shot in the dark. Oh, what if you don't have any energy in your top 5? And yeah, that happens, but we do run a high count of energy, and I've actually hit multiple Ethers with a single Pokédex. So I mean, it definitely can happen. Yeah, you're relying on some form of luck, but the odds are in your favor, I would say. So yeah, that's the EtherDex combination that we were trying to use. And the main that's so powerful because turn 2 you could be doing Land's Judgment for 150 damage, and there's not a lot of things that can just take that easily. And obviously all the other attackers in our deck too. I mean, we have a lot of potent attackers who with 3 or more energies can do a lot of damage. So yeah, that's the EtherDex combination. And then 3 Pokemon reversals. This is identical to Pokemon Catcher. Flip a coin if heads, choose one of your opponent's bench and switch it. It's basically Pokemon Catcher. I like the art on this card, so I run that one. You would probably want to use Pokemon Catcher. 4 copies of Switch. Landorus and Terrakion have huge retreat costs. So does Baby Terrakion. So you definitely want to have access to switches. That's no doubt about that. 2 copies of Ultra Ball, and that allows you to get, for example, if you need that Bouffalant or Mewtwo in a clutch situation, you can Ultra Ball straight for that. Or if you need to guarantee Garbodor getting online, you can Ultra Ball for that. There's only 2 because the deck unlike standard and expanded, you're not constantly tossing your resources and stuff and digging through your whole deck. So it's a bit slower, and so you don't really need to like aggressively use ultra balls and things like that. One copy of Colress, which is just nice. Obviously, like early on, you don't want to draw into it maybe, but a lot of these decks they use Pokemon Collector and things like that and fill their bench quite early. So Colress is often fine. I mean, a lot of the times he's good. Even if you don't Colress for 5, I mean that's acceptable. Not good, obviously, but passable. 2 copies of N. And the reason why I'm running the lower count of N now is because of Professor Oak's new theory, which I feel is just he's it's the best supporter. It's my favorite supporter probably in this format, and it's just really good compared to N, where N is like something, if you get ahead, then N punishes you, whereas Oak is consistent. It's always going to draw you 6, which is just good. I don't know. It's just a solid supporter. And so I run 3 copies of the Oak's new theory and 2 copies of N, which I think is fine. If you don't like that, you could change it. Maybe you run 4 Oaks, or maybe you run 3 N and 2 Oaks. But I like this setup here. 3 copies of Juniper, and that's when you have to draw. If you're dead drawing, Juniper is going to get you a fresh hand of 7, and that's just an invaluable effect. So 3 copies of Juniper. 3 copies of Skyla. There's a lot of cards that are important to get with Skyla here. Your tools are kind of important because it helps you, turn that Garbodor on. Also, it could get you a switch if you're stuck in a bad spot. If you have, say, you have one piece, say you have Ether in hand but no Pokédex, you can Skyla for the Pokédex. Things like that. Skyla is solid. Maybe 3 isn't needed, but I like the consistency of running 3. 1 copy of Tropical Beach. Mostly you want to be abusing this earlier on in the game. Later on you hopefully are attacking, but in an off chance that you don't have an attacker powered up, Tropical Beach can help you draw into something that can get you out of that spot. But it's just a one of, and if you want to build this deck and try it yourself and you don't have a Tropical Beach, I know that they're pretty rare. You could replace it with any number of things. You don't necessarily have to replace it with a stadium or anything like that. Offhand, I don't know exactly what I'd put in. Maybe something like a Super Rod, so you can get back either energies or one of your attackers if you had to. But that's just a shot in the dark. If I stopped and thought about it, I'd probably think of some good cards to replace it with. But it's definitely not crucial to the deck strategy whatsoever. 2 copies of Eviolite. If this card is attached to a basic, any damage done to it is reduced by 20, which may not seem like that big of a deal, but it's actually pretty huge. I mean, it turns a lot of attacks that would be 2-hit KOs into like 3-hit KOs and better. For example, Darkrai, Dark Spear or whatever for 90, now it's only doing 70. And 70, that's 140. If it was still 90, he would be doing 180 and knocking out any of our EXs. But now he's forced to have to hit us 3 times. And that's assuming he's going to hit us 3 times. We can knock him out easily. So some decks, it may not matter. Weavile, all they have to do is get an extra Pokemon or something and just ignore this this buffer. But for a lot of decks, this actually comes in really handily. When it just lets you tank much better. And we already run those big, bulky fighting types anyway, so Eviolite is pretty cool. And then 2 copies of Floatstone, and that this is two reasons for this. Obviously, to turn Garbodor online, and also because, like I said, all of our Pokemon have those huge retreat costs. So sometimes you just need to get them out of there. You have this Floatstone in order to do that. So 2 copies of Floatstone, and maybe if you had to cut the beach, maybe a 3rd Floatstone. Floatstone is definitely huge. And yeah, maybe, you could mess around with this. Maybe cut a switch, maybe, Junk Arm. I have no Junk Arms in the deck, and Junk Arm is probably the best card in Legacy. I don't know. It's one of them. It's up there. So yeah, there's definitely some changes that could be made, but this is what I've been testing and playing with. And then finally, our energy count, which is not that exciting or anything like that. We run a high count, 13, relatively high for Legacy or any deck really, and that's, like I said, because we want to be hitting those EtherDexes, and we also want to be using Pump Up Smash, if possible, attached to basic from your hand. So it's not even a bad thing to have extra energies in your hand, because you can actually accelerate more in one turn. I've gotten 5 energies in one turn. I hit double Ether, and I had 2 energies in hand for Terrakion, as well as the attach for the turn. So yeah. 12 fighting, and a single double colorless. And the single double colorless is primarily for Buffalon, just to make him easier to power up, but also works well, you know, with Mewtwo. None of the other attackers really care about a DCE. You could use it as an attach if you just don't have anything else, but yeah, it's primarily there for Buffalon and Mewtwo. And so yeah, that's pretty much the deck. Get into some matches soon and see if it'll perform. And we're into a match here with Lady Hedgehog, who's running a pure water deck. So I'm not sure what that could be. The only thing that comes to mind is a Keldeo Blastoise type of deck. But yeah, we'll definitely be interested to see. It is worth noting that Landorus is weak to water while Terrakion is weak to grass. So that's also a big factor into when or why I choose. We see a rare candy, which leads me to believe it's still Blastoise. However, the DCEs are interesting. I'm not sure if this is like a actual deck or not, because that was quite a bit of energy, but we run 13, so who's to talk? Leading Mewtwo, which is fine. He's not weak to water like Landorus or something, so I'll take that. We see Oshawott and Keldeo. I know Oshawott turns into the Samurott, which has some sort of like shell armor effect. I think I'm actually going to go for the Ether here, even though I already have 2 in hand. I'm going to try it. Pokédex. Like I said, the name of the deck is called EtherDex, so I want to be showing that off as much as I can. And yeah, look at that, 2 on the top right there. Don't need. Yeah. Go with that. And yeah, that'll end the turn. I don't really think he has any way to knock us out. We didn't see Psychic in his colors, so he doesn't have a Mewtwo he could attach a DCE to. I'm really not all that afraid right now. We see a water come down to Keldeo and a pass, so not too intimidating here from our opponent. I'm going to go ahead and attach here just to get that knockout. And we're just going to use the end. Okay. I don't really see any problem playing the beach. I'm not going to use it right now, but maybe I'll need it at some point. And I don't really care if the opponent uses it. Yeah, so we'll take the knockout on the Oshawott. And, okay, Landorus, which we will definitely not be playing in this matchup. See a Suicune come down. Now, that could be an issue. I do have answers to Suicune, so he's not an instant loss. And there's the Squirrel, so he does run Blastoise. But at this point, we definitely want to get one of our non-EX attackers up and running. Let's see. I don't know if I actually want to attach to Terrakion or not. I do kind of want to save energies for either Buffalon or Baby Terrakion. I actually think I'm going to hold off. Is that the right play? I don't know, but I think I'm going to do that. I think I'm holding off. And I'm just going to go ahead and attack. Neither one of these goals. Suicune could attack next turn with the DCE. He'd have to get the Keldeo out of the active. Okay, and he doesn't have the DCE. Doesn't have Blastoise yet, so we still have at least a turn to figure something out. Okay, and there's Buffalon, so that's nice. I definitely want him. Go ahead and attach to him. Could do the Ether thing, but I don't. I run a high energy count, but still, it's a pretty low count. I mean, I still have 37 cards in the deck, so I'm not gonna do that right now. I'm just gonna go ahead and X-ball. If we can take 2 prizes off this Keldeo, that would be fantastic. So, and now he's actually softened enough that Landorus can snipe him. Yeah. So Suicune is ready to go. I'm gonna keep powering this Boufflant. And yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and take the knockout here. I'm not too afraid of Suicune either way. There's the Pokemon reversal, so we could try and get that Suicune out of the active for the time being. Okay, we see the Outrage Kyurem. And hit us for 70, which is fine. Okay, and there's Baby Terrakion. We want him down too, I would say. Let's see here. Do I go... I won't take this guy out in one hit either way. Let's go ahead and use the Pokédex. Okay, we do have energy on top. See, if I had other ethers, I could be hitting these a lot. If I had Trubbish online, this weekend wouldn't be a problem either, but... Ether. We're going to attach the Baby Terrakion here. Do I want to go for the Pokemon reversal play? I think it's worth it. Turning off, if I can get that Blastoise, okay. We don't get it, that's fine though. I'm just going to switch into the Buffalon here and start gold breaking that Suicune. So hit it for 60, it'll be a 2-hit knockout, and he can only hit us for 50, which would also be a 2-hit knockout, but we should have the advantage here. We see the rescue energy, so that means he'll be able to pick it back up. He didn't attack. That is very curious. He did not attack me. That doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah, we're just going to go ahead and finish him off then. This Suicune will go back into hand, but I obviously have ways to deal with Suicune, so it's really not that big of a deal to me. We got Kyurem coming up with 130 HP. Outrage ability can actually, or outrage attack could be pretty devastating, because if we can't knock him out quickly, he can start taking us over pretty easily. But as it stands, he's actually not doing a ton of damage. He doesn't have any damage counters on him yet, so he really doesn't pose that much of a threat just yet. Okay, we do see the Suicune come back down. We see the energy drop. Outrage actually can't even hit us right now thanks to the buffer. So yeah, that's not too shabby. Get the energy. Go ahead and power up Baby Terrakion. Go ahead and evolve the Trubbish. Let's see here. Yeah, I think we're just gonna go ahead and. It sucks that Goldbreaker is a 3-hit KO because of his 130 HP. I could go for Mewtwo here, but if I hit him, he'll knock me out. I'm not sure if I like that play or not. I think I'm going to do it. I'm ahead right now. I'm pretty far ahead. So it's kind of fine to me. He'll knock this out, but I could retaliate. I could use Buffalon. So I'm pretty much fine, even if he takes 2 prizes. I really don't think that it's going to make that big of a difference. he takes the Mewtwo, which, like I said, I already knew that would happen, and I'm pretty much fine with it. So I'm just going to promote the baby Terrakion here and take the Retaliate KO. And get the Pokédex, which I'm not sure if I want to use it or not. I think yeah, we're already pretty energized. I think I can risk. And yeah, I do want this this supporter here. So the rest of them don't really matter because I'll be playing the Colress next turn. And yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and take the Retaliate KO. Take one prize card, and we're down to 1. They still have 4 remaining, so we're in a good spot. We have several non-EX attackers. I didn't play the Landorus, so he can't snipe that. Plays on another Squirtle, which is fine. It'll make our Colress bigger. He gets the DCE, so he will attack us this turn. Aurora Beam for 70, which is fine. Okay, now the question is, do I bench one of these to make get an even better Colress? And I think the answer is yes. Yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and Colress now. Don't want to play Landorus no matter what. Okay, get the energy drop. Do I want to hit him for 90? He will KO me next turn. I can't retreat though, so I think that's what I'm going to do. Just lane crush him. If I can turn this Garbodor online, then his safeguard doesn't even matter. So it'll also turn off his Deluge. See, those are 2 abilities I didn't even think about when I was explaining the deck. Turn off Safeguard, turn off Blastoise, turn off Keldeo. Yeah, so Garbodor is kind of amazing. Unfortunately for Lady Hedgehog, they have not gotten the Blastoise online yet. I see an Articuno. I've never seen this card. Doesn't seem very good. So he does take out our Terrakion. However, we can Buffalaunt and seal the deal here. So there's DCE, which we obviously do not need. I'm not going to waste any time. I'm just going to go ahead and take the KO here. And yeah, so I mean, you got to see some aspects of the deck here. You saw how when I was faced with water, I made sure not to play Landorus. You know, you have answers. You have a variety of answers to various situations. I had Garbodor ready. He didn't actually turn online yet, but if I had him online, you could see how his Safeguard and his Deluge would have just been totally eradicated. You know, same with Keldeo. So yeah, the deck has a lot of play to it. Unfortunately, that wasn't the most competitive of decks, I don't think. Alright, so we do get a match. It's Spooky Pokes playing dark colorless steel and grass in there, I think it was. So that could be any number of things, truthfully. Some decks can just take a Sableye, you know, or whatever. Steel for Jirachi. Grass could be just about anything. So yeah, I'm not really sure what we're dealing with. I'm gonna go ahead and lead the big Terrakion, and I'll bench the baby one. He did have grass in his type, so that could be a huge risk. They're both weak to grass. Let me see, Sableye, Cleffa. So yeah, Cleffa, Smeargle, both of them can be teched in a lot of decks. We see a Laser. It does not get this Sleep Flip, which is good for us. Yeah, this is probably going to be a Weavile Eggs deck, if I had to guess. Makes the most sense with those color combinations. Yeah, the Comp Search, we see a Dark Patch, go to the discard. So yeah, this is most likely Weavile Eggs. Okay, plays the Oak, draw a new hand of 6. Most Weavile decks I've seen are not playing the lasers, so that's curious, but I mean, I guess it makes sense. Usually Weavile doesn't have a problem getting the Okos, getting the damage. But yeah, it makes sense, especially if you can't attack turn 1, you can still be putting damage on them. That doesn't seem too bad. Okay, we see Ultra Ball. Grab the Jirachi, probably for next turn. I'm gonna see why you play it now. He already used his Oak. Yeah, he's just gonna pass, which is fine. Play the Trubbish. Again, that's a critical part for this. Again, in this matchup, rather. I could hit. If I hit the Ether here, it could be huge. And we don't. I really wouldn't mind a Landorus in this matchup, but it seems that we're not gonna. And we do hit, great. So they can actually just take a prize right here, so that's really cool. Getting a prize ahead on Weavile seems pretty good, just given the rate that they exchange prizes. You see the Darkrai come down. This could not be Sneasel, or Weavile rather, but guys, I haven't seen one yet. But the eggs makes me feel like it is. If it's not, then the lasers make total sense. But just the fact that we haven't seen a Sneasel come down yet leads me to believe this is actually just Sableye Darkrai. Oh, there's a Sneasel. Okay, so it is Weavile deck. So yeah, it'd be really nice if we can get that, get this Garbodor online. Turn off all those eggs. Force him to have a Tool Scrapper. Of course, it's not that hard with Sableye, but if you're attacking with Sableye, it means you're not attacking with Weavile, which means I'm happy. And yeah, we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna get a Pump Up Smash this turn. And if we draw him an energy, that could be huge. So. Yeah, we take 30 from poison, and we do. So yeah, we could actually just attach 2 energies here. So you can see how this deck just kind of just builds energies so easily. Now, do I want to attach to Terrakion or the baby? Is my question. I think I'm actually going to go to the baby one. A Tropical Beach. That'd be nice to get rid of the Burbank for sure. Okay, we see the energy drop come down. We see the Weavile come down. He shouldn't have too much trouble getting the knockout here. 30 from Burbank. Yeah. Just gonna go ahead and grab another egg probably with the level ball, if I had to guess. Maybe not though. Maybe another Weavile or something. Now he grabs the egg. But even so, I mean, now we're even on prizes, but I'll be able to take a KO here too. And he doesn't have another Sneasel ready just yet. See a Kangaskhan come down. That's a very curious choice, I have to say. Doesn't really seem to help him. Maybe he just uses the Call for Family effect. But I feel like there's better things for that. Jirachi for Pokemon Collector is better. So he's going to bench the Sableye there. And here goes Debilify, which will most likely knock us out. No, okay, but the poison does. So if we didn't have poison, we would have been okay there. Eviolite would have saved us, but poison is too much to handle. So he's going to draw 2 prizes, and we're going to be even on that front. But like I said, I already have a knockout here, so I'll be ahead right away again. And he doesn't have any energy drops. He's taking some time to pull his prizes for whatever reason. Maybe he got frozen out or something. Okay, there we go. Alright, so promote baby Terrakion. I'm gonna go ahead and trump Stadium. Oh, and we get the concede. Well, yeah. I don't want to say that I already had that one, but we were definitely in a good spot. It's really unfortunate that it had to happen on the video, but the Weavile Eggs matchup is definitely not unwinnable in any regard. Yeah, so I'm sorry I didn't get better matches. Hopefully with the maintenances and stuff fixing things, hopefully, fingers crossed, I can get better videos for you up in the future. And yeah, just keep an eye on Card Karma. Hopefully keep these coming out, you know, maybe one day, one every other day, something like that. I know I've been slacking, so really apologize for that. And yeah, if you have any awesome legacy ideas, shoot them at me for sure, because I am definitely loving this format, and I'll pretty much try anything. And if it's good enough, you know, I'll probably make a video for it. So yeah, if you want me to showcase some of your decks or something, just leave a comment or message me, something like that. Yeah, so catch you guys later, and I hope you enjoyed, despite not the best of matches. Hopefully the future ones are better.